to Jonathan Taylor. Huge hole. He's at the 30. He's going to go. 10, 5, touchdown. Jonathan Taylor made a man miss the line of scrimmage and then runs it into Pater. And a one-handed INT. Are you kidding me? Kenny Moore.
What a play by Nyheim Hines.
Horseshoe is back, baby. The horseshoe is back.
What's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another Bring the Juice Colts podcast live stream. Guys, we had some big updates today, and I'm sorry right off at the top of the video if I have to keep checking my phone. There's some stuff that I have going on that is requiring my attention a little bit, but excuse me, I still wanted to be able to do a live stream with you guys tonight. Wanted to talk about a bunch of the signings that happened today. 2 different signings as of right now, and the Colts may potentially be looking out for more of them. But nevertheless, guys, let me know in the comments first off how excited you guys are for these players that we have signed today, specifically Stephon Gilmore. One second. Oh, man. All right. And Arif, thanks so much for that comment. Greatly appreciate that. Yeah, today's been busy with the content-wise. There's been a lot going on today. Obviously, extremely happy that Stephon Gilmore ended up about that. Does it really make us a top 5 defense? I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on that. I'll be honest, guys, I kind of wish that I had somebody else in here with me right now. I was trying to get my guys in here, but I can't get anyone. I don't have anyone to really message at the moment. Hold on. Let me I'm going to try something. I'm going to figure something out. I'm going to try to see if I can find somebody. Someone saying that players normally don't perform outside of New England. That sometimes can happen, but, it really just depends. Whatever. I tried. But yeah, guys, honestly, I'm extremely excited about the Stephon Gilmore. And I did try to get Matt. He said he was supposed to get on, but been messaging him, and he's not responding. My guess is he probably took a nap. And he probably didn't. Probably is, probably asleep. So, what's the plan at left tackle? Well, Cody, I can tell you this right now. Matt Pryor is definitely the number 1 at the time being. And the thing is that, people have been saying, when it comes to the left tackle position and getting another player, people have been saying Dwayne Brown, right? They're talking about Dwayne Brown. I think that would be a great option. I definitely think that would have been a great option. But the problem is Matt Pryor was already stated that, he's going to get first crack at it. And, that might deter some of the older veteran guys from wanting to sign. So you might have to answer that in the draft, to be honest. I think that's probably what they do. Who the hell is saying we're going under 500? Who? That's ridiculous. Go get Debo. Bro, believe me, I would love Debo Samuel, but Ballard can't make that happen. There's not enough draft compensation. We don't have enough cap. The cap, I guess I should not say that. Cap, we can figure something out with that. I just don't know about the trade compensation to get him. That's pretty much it. Just the problem is, Debo, I just don't know what we could give up for Debo, it sucks because, Debo would be amazing, but I don't know if we'd be able to afford it. That's the problem. So I think I'll probably just end up answering any questions that you guys have. I'm saying we trade up a little bit to grab Chris Olave. Hey, if Chris Olave slips into the late 20s, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I love Chris Olave. I think he's a great receiver. But what if we get Julio? For a low minimum, I'd be down for it. How much experience does our coaching staff have now with Fox in the fold? Players like Mitchell, Wayne, June, Reich. Just unreal. And especially not just football experience. Just from a player's perspective, guys like June, guys like Wayne, guys like Mitchell, guys like that and Reich too, that all have played the game. They all have played the game. They understand how the game works, knowing how to connect with these players on an emotional level and how things go. I love it. Honestly, I love it. Kind of bummed we lost Teray. Yeah, I agree. I wish we could have kept Teray, but it's what happens. Who are your favorite left tackles in the draft? Obviously there's a bunch of left tackles that are going to go in the first round that the Colts can't really go and get, but Abraham Lucas is one that I definitely would be interested in the third round if we went and got him. 1 second, y'all. Let's see. Anything about that murder case on CB on the Cowboys? Kelvin Joseph. I don't think there's anything new to it right now. They're still doing their investigation. They're going to determine whether or not he's the guy or not. I don't know. Christian Watson, if he's still on the board at 42, is a steal. I believe so. Again, he's probably one of the most athletic receivers we have ever seen come into the draft. And this man's 6'4". Okay, he's 6'4". He's the size of Julio Jones and is quite ironically enough about just as athletic as Julio, if not more. So, it's insane to see. It'd be interesting to see what they do from here. Depth along the defensive line being the biggest need going forward. Nah. Depth of defensive line, I'm not too worried about. We have some guys already. We'll get a few guys here and there to plug, but I'm not too worried about it. Our go-to tight end? That's a good question. Who's going to step up and be that one, right? That's a good question. That is probably something we're going to have to wait to see till the season starts. Probably will be. Should we bring back the ghost? Hey, listen, if we can get him for a vet minimum, I'm down. I'm down. I mean, Ballard's already said how much he likes T.Y. Hilton. But obviously, T.Y. might be searching for that next contract because, somebody might be willing to give him a little bit of extra money. I mean, you got to go somewhere where you feel like you can be used and can be used with a price tag that you like. Do you see Granson getting a lot more play time this year? Yeah, his play time will definitely increase. How much, I'm not sure. But his play time is definitely going to increase because you kind of have to at this point with losing Jack Doyle. There we go. Sorry, y'all. Like I said, I got stuff in here that I need to have my attention turned to at the same time. So, when's the next mock draft? Probably get one out this next week. That'd be my guess. Cody and I both have to get one out. So, Colts need to double dip at wide out. Yeah, I think they absolutely have to get 2 wide receivers in this draft. I think it'd be stupid if they didn't. I'll be completely honest. It'd be stupid if they didn't. I don't know if they need to go second and third round, but they definitely need to get something in those first 2 rounds and then something later on if they have to. How would you like to see Hines used this season? I mean, it's the same thing as it's the same thing that they did with Phillip Rivers in 2020. Just getting a better game plan around him. I think that's how you utilize him. I mean, it doesn't have to be strictly slot receiver. It doesn't have to strictly be out of the backfield. It could be a lot of different things. Hines, when you give him space, is dangerous. Give it your best guess what position we pick. Okay. So we have one in each round, if I'm not mistaken. My guess is it goes. Let me think. Round 2, wide receiver. Round 3, left tackle. Round 4, tight end. Round 5, wide receiver. Round 6, cornerback. Or actually, I'm going to do this. Round 5, interior offensive lineman. Round 6, wide receiver. Round 7, cornerback. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, man. Take a shot every time someone says trade up for left tackle. I've never said trade up for left tackle. That's just me, though. When's the draft? Almost 2 weeks from now. Thursday. Is Ben Banagou still on the 53-man roster in September? I believe he will be. I think with Gus Bradley's system, I think that it's going to be appropriate that Ben Banagou gets another shot. I really do believe so. Is it left tackle or wide receiver the number one concern? Well, I mean, right now it's weapons, so it's wide receiver. Right now, at least. Who's our starting kicker? Well, I mean, obviously it's Rodrigo Blankenship, at least right now. What spot does Gilmore take, Rock or Rhodes? Well, I mean, obviously it's retaking Rock's spot. Rock was the number one corner at the end of the year, and Gilmore's the number one corner. I mean, he's not taking Rhodes' spot. Rhodes got benched, so is there a chance we bring Rhodes back? Absolutely. I think they want to keep him around. I just don't know if they can get him for a vet minimum. I just don't think they can do that. Why does everybody keep saying Sarah? What's going on? Saul, that ain't happening, man. Jarvis Landry wants $20+ million a year. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think the Colts are going to pay him $20 million for something that's not going to matter. The Colts can still afford Tyron by extending Big Q. They're still interested. It's funny because I saw Tyrann Mathieu. I think Colts Militia on Twitter showed this post and said that Tyrann Mathieu liked to post. I like to post apparently saying that he was happy that Stefan Gilmore made it to Indianapolis. Again, that could mean anything. Could just literally mean, oh, I'm happy for Stephon Gilmore. But at the same time, again, I think it'd be hilarious if we got Tyrann Mathieu and Stephon Gilmore. I think that'd be hilarious. Are we Super Bowl ready? No, we're not Super Bowl ready yet. We don't have the offensive weapons that some of these people have. But again, here's the thing. I like what this defense has done, and I love how people keep trying to say that this team's lack of playoff success has something to do with Chris Ballard for some weird reason. We can't just blame the players and blame the coaching staff for that possibility. It always has to be on Ballard, but we still need a lot more moves on offense to fix that. Oh, taking Jeremy Rucker in the fourth? Hey, I'd love that. I love Jeremy Rucker. I think he'd fit really well. I think he's a good offensive player. Yeah, I like Thayer Munford, but he's not consistent enough. He's not consistent enough. Yeah, he wants a lot of money. Shout out to BGJ, been a follower for almost 2 years now. Hey, I appreciate that, man. Just started an NFL podcast called the VFL. Hopefully, as it picks up, I can have you guys on as guests sometime. Hey, just let me know, man. Send me a message. I'd be down. I recently did a PFF mock draft on my YouTube channel. What do you think of these three picks? Round 2, Jahan Dotson. Round 3, Greg Dulcich. And round 4, Matt Waltzeko. What's Matt Waltzeko's position? Let me just check it real quick. He, I'm assuming, is a tackle, right? Yeah, he is a tackle. It's funny because I actually don't hate that. I actually don't hate that at all. I like the Jahan Dotson pick. I think we could probably go a different route, but I definitely like the pick. The Greg Dulcich pick, I love that one. But Matt, I don't know about that. I feel like we could get something different at that spot, or maybe even go earlier for a tackle and get another tight end or receiver later. But I don't hate the Dotson and Dulcich picks. I really don't. I really, really like those, to be honest. Okay, we're not going to answer that. Gus Bradley must be loving this move. Imagine inheriting this roster. Yeah, I mean, this is a really good defensive roster. This has got a lot of potential to it. I'm interested to see. Yeah, I know, Nomadic, bro. I said it on Twitter. I don't know what it was. I think it was a few hours ago. I roasted myself because I was one of those people, and I immediately had to take it back. One sec, guys. Okay. Sorry, y'all. It's been a long day. Long day, content-wise, drained me out. David Bell going to... I keep seeing everybody saying David Bell going to Indy at 42. David Bell's not going to be extended that quickly. No way. He would still be available in round 3. Guaranteed. Can't wait to get back inside Lucas Oil and bring the juice. We got to do better as a fan base and being disruptive to visiting teams. We really do. The fan base definitely needs to. How cool if Rhodes rebounds? Yeah, I know, right? That would be insane. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I think he's a good third-round wide receiver, but his athleticism is going to hurt him. His athleticism is really going to hurt him. It's going to drop his draft stock. Think Marvell Tell makes the 53. Oh, you can hear that? Oh, frick. All right, whatever. We're turning this off. That's what it is. Gosh darn it. I didn't think anyone could hear that. I'll be completely honest with you. I'll just turn it off. Battery's coming out. This is off, all right? Listen, I didn't think that anyone could hear that, so I'm just going to shut it off since apparently people can hear it. So I'm just going to turn it off. Good Lord. We could sign Landry. No one's paying him $20 million a year. Yeah, it was the clock. I'm not joking you. Yeah, that's how loud that freaking thing is. Because it's supposed to be in a bigger room. It's not supposed to be in this 11-foot by 10-foot room. It's not supposed to be. Well, yeah, of course nobody's going to pay him $20 million a year, but I mean, are the Colts going to pay him 17, 18? I don't think so. And he had a bad combine. Yeah, I mean, it's very true. Again, the game film on David Bell is respectful enough that he's going to be a day 2 pick. Of course he is. It would be shocking if he doesn't get drafted by the 3rd round. I'm just saying, because the game film speaks for itself. It's just he's just not very athletic. So he's one of the least athletic receivers in this whole group. And unfortunately, with the way that the NFL is now, if you're not athletic, people don't really take a lot of interest into you sometimes. Unless your game film is off the charts. Now, David Bell's really good, but his game film ain't off the charts. Okay, so, I mean, I kind of refer to that as what happened with Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa, a lot of people said, why are you drafting one of the most unathletic defensive ends I've ever seen at the number 3 overall pick? Well, they showed you why, because he's actually really dang good. There's more to a defensive end than speed. Who will take the reins after Matt Ryan? The hell if I know, man. The hell if I know. I have no freaking idea. Oh, Nicholas Petit-Free. Yeah, he definitely is built really big. I just don't know about him, though. Well, yeah, because he's from Indy. I mean, that's about it. Isaiah Likely. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people bring his name up, but I think he's going to get drafted before us. I don't think we get him. I'm in love with Christian Watt's traits, but look at more film. Sky Moore fits better. I mean, the film tells you that Sky Moore is better. He's just as fast as Christian Watson. It's just, Watson has other intangibles that he just doesn't have. We can't easily cruise to a number 1 seed. I mean, any team can cruise to a number 1 seed if they stay healthy. I just don't think we can. Anyone ever told you kind of in favor of Andrew Luck with the beard? I've heard some people say that. Yes, he definitely is very legit. I'd say there's about a 10% chance, if that. Yeah, I know. I even slept in. Well, the thing is, I went golfing earlier today, and and the only thing that sucks is that the thing is I went golfing and it was windy out. It was like really freaking windy, so it like wore me out. That cold air kind of wore me out a little bit. Yes, I was playing golf in the 20+ mile an hour winds and actually didn't do bad. So, if Ballard would decide to get a wide receiver in free agency, who should we get? I don't even know who's left. Hold on. I'm going to see who's even left. I really don't know who's left on the freaking market. Okay, so you got Julio, Jarvis, Will Fuller, T.Y., Cole Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders, Keelan Cole, Albert Wilson, Deshaun Jackson, OBJ. Hey, I wouldn't be opposed to OBJ, but okay. Hey guys, we might be getting Lawrence in here. Hold on. Might have a little treat for y'all. Let's see if we can get this man in here. Said he wasn't doing too great early on, but we'll see if he's doing better now. We will see. See if I can get a surprise for y'all in here. I honestly forgot that OBJ was still a free agent. I'll be completely honest. Yeah, our defense would be top 5 for sure if we got Tyrann Mathieu. All right, let's bring him in here real quick. Lawrence.
What's up?
What's up, dude?
I took a lot of medicine. Took a nap.
I bet. You said you said that tooth was really bothering you.
Yeah. So I took a nap and I woke up and it was a little bit after 8 and I was like, it's feeling okay now. I think I'll real quick see if he's still going. And you sitting there looking kind of, I don't know, a little, I wouldn't say bored, but not as lively as I'm used to seeing you. So
I know. I'm tired, dude. Believe me, I'm exhausted. Like I said to everybody else here in the chat, I went golfing earlier today, and it was windy as could be. So all that cold air was hitting me, and I was worn out after that. Worn out after that. This morning, emotions running high with the Stefan Gilmore news that happened. So, all my energy pretty much went out the door this morning. I know you've already talked about it a little bit, but what's your reaction to the Colts making another big splash move and getting Stephon Gilmore?
Well, I know that quite a few Colts players and ex-players have been talking to Gilmore for like the last 2 months. Okay?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I've got, a few guys that have been on my podcast that, like Antoine Bethea and guys like that. Even my own guy, Gerard Powers, we're talking about that, how he's been very patient, him and Tyron both, very patient, waiting for the right spot. But the thing was with Gilmore, there was also the worry about his knee injury. And that's why the Colts didn't sign him while he was in building at that moment, was because they were waiting for the medical report to get back after his visit. And that's
because all the reports made it sound like the moment he stepped in the building, everyone made it sound like, yeah, he's probably going to sign. It's just a matter of when that is. Because it made it, because all the reports kept saying out, like, the meeting went really well. Both sides had really good interest with each other. It just seems like it's only a matter of time. I'll be honest. I can't believe that it was that easy for them. I'll be completely honest. I didn't think that it was going to be that simple for them to make this move. It certainly wasn't cheap, but nevertheless, they actually got him for under market value too.
Well under. Yeah. I was saying somewhere between 12 and 14, and they got him for under 12. So yeah, that's very impressive. Perfect size. I said 2 to 3 years at the most. 2-year deal. Heck yeah. I think this is an excellent signing. The Colts, when they restructured Matt Ryan's contract, when they got him, they did that to free up to make a few free agency moves and have enough money to sign a big guy right then if they needed to. And well, You know, they had it for Gilmore when he made his visit, so that's awesome.
Dude, yeah, I couldn't believe it. You know, like I said, my brother texted me this morning just saying, let's go. And I was like, what? And then right when I texted that, the Twitter notification came up and it said the Colts are signing Stephon Gilmore. I'm like, oh my God. Like
Right.
I know you and I both have been on that Stephon Gilmore train for a while. I was saying it way back in February that if there was one free agent corner in this whole group that I would have loved to make sure was in a Colts uniform, it was Stephon Gilmore for the right price.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, again, I think what sealed the deal also was, you know, the guaranteed money also helped. You know, I don't know if a lot of teams wanted to guarantee him that much money. I'm sure a lot of teams wanted to give him a longer contract, but I don't know if they would have guaranteed him as much. You know, they would have had to have given him more guaranteed money if they were going to give him a longer contract. But yeah, I mean, from what it sounds like is that it seems like, yeah, there's been a lot of talks with both sides, from the players, the coaches, the organization. Like everyone kind of had tabs on Stephon Gilmore for a while because, you know, the players kept saying it too today, like how expressing their excitement that Stephon Gilmore is in the building. And listen, I know this is a long shot, probably means nothing, but we'll talk about it anyway because, you know, that's what we do here. Tyrann Mathieu actually liked a bunch of the tweets from the NFL and some other places that Stephon Gilmore was coming to Indy. And then, of course, Indy fans on Twitter are like, does this mean something? Does this mean that you know, Tyrann might say, screw the contract money, I might just want to go play for this defense now? I mean, is there any legitimacy to that to you, or do you think that's extremely far-fetched?
It's not extremely far-fetched. Remember what happened with Andre Johnson when Frank Gore decided, you know what, I'm not going to sign with Philly, I'm going to go to the Colts. And he got on the phone and he talked to Andre and said, hey, I'm going to the Colts, come with me. Mm-hmm. Well, Gilmore and Mathieu are pretty close too, you know. So I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I'm just saying it's not out of the realm of possibility. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, hey, listen, if the Colts somehow figured that out, Tyrann Mathieu as well with Stephon Gilmore and those boys, I said this, they are for sure a top 5 defense next year. There's no question about it. They would be a top 5 defense, and that defense would lock down a lot of teams.
Well, I mean, people want to talk about, well, our pass defense wasn't that good. Our pass defense versus wide receivers outside of week 1 and 2 and 17 and 18 was locked down solid. We had issues with tight ends, right? You figure during that stretch where we were playing against some of the best receivers in the NFL, like when we played Arizona and Buffalo and New England. Well, New England didn't have a bunch of great wide receivers, but Buffalo and Arizona and teams like that, the most receiving yards any receiver had during that span was 26 yards. And that's including, you know, the Diggs and the other guy. Arizona had a plethora as well, you know. So that was a thing. But Rock was very, very good last year.
Yeah.
Rock Ya-Sin. And
yeah, towards the end of the year, he became himself again. He looked like the rookie that we saw in the second half of that rookie season he had, where he was becoming one of the best corners in the NFL at that second half of the year.
Yeah, right now I like where the Colts are sitting at defensively. I think you got 2 very good starters, 3 possible starters at safety. You got 2 proven guys at cornerback, one who's young and up and coming, kind of the way Rock Ya-Sin was. And then a couple guys that still need to prove it, like Marvell Tell and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Our linebacking core is good. Our defensive line is stacked across the board, inside and outside. You figure what you got Pay and Ngakoue on the outsides, Stuart Buckner on the inside, but then you also have guys that can fill in as well. I mean, you got guys backing them up with like
Dio and
Michael, and a bunch. There's a bunch of deep guys right there. So
yeah,
I think this defense right now is easily top 5 in the NFL. I'm not going to say they're the best, but they're top 5. Figure they led the NFL in takeaways last year for the majority of the season, right up until the last 2 weeks of the season, right? So this is a great off season for the defense. Now we just got to worry about the offense. Ballard and Reich have been pounding the table saying our wide receiver room is good. Our wide receiver room is good.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you. What if they're right? What if Matt Ryan throws for 5,000 yards and 35 touchdowns?
Because he ain't going to do that because he's got Jonathan Taylor as his running back. I mean, he definitely could throw for 4,000. He could still throw for 4,000. That's definitely likely.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, but what I'm saying is we've had a different quarterback and not the right quarterback. It's been a quarterback purgatory for the Colts for a while. We have a legit quarterback now. What if Ballard and them are right? What if, Paris Campbell stays healthy and is able to play very well? What if Michael Pittman Jr. is, see what he could do with accurate throws, led him directly rather than behind, to where he has to make it a 50-50 ball. We've got some young guys, very young, quick, big, fast receivers. Nyheim Hines, Jonathan Taylor in the passing game.
Yeah.
Those guys, I mean, Jonathan Taylor has shown you already, even with Carson Wentz at quarterback, that he could take 192 yards to the house.
Oh, yeah.
Nyheim Hines does it all the time, too. So,
yeah. I mean, Hines in 2020 with Phillip Rivers, I mean, it went to show you just what he could do, right? I mean, that was when, they really had a game plan designed around a Nyheim Hines, and that's just another weapon. Yeah, I mean, it truly is about the quarterback they have now, about the guy that's going to make the smarter throw. And your film room, I watched it on Matt Ryan, and basically you just kept reiterating he's going to make the smart play, the play that's going to let you live to see another down. He does create turnovers. I mean, he is a guy that has been known to throw a few turnovers here and there, but at the end of the day, he is still a guy that's going to control the game. He's not going to throw 3 interceptions in a game and, lose you the game by throwing a left-handed throw at the goal line and throw it up to the opposing team. He ain't going to do that. But you're right. I mean, the weapons we have now, they're definitely serviceable. I would definitely say they're still... I mean, I would say this. This isn't saying much, but it's still better than what the Falcons did have the previous year. I mean, it's definitely much better. If Paris can even stay healthy for half the season, that's a win. If, Michael Pittman is anything what he was last year, he's going to be all right. And if we somehow can get Nyheim Hines involved this year, which I think they will because Matt Ryan's going to do a better job at that, then, that's another weapon that we didn't account for last year. It's just a matter of, you still need 1 or 2 more solidified guys to help it out. Don't know what they're going to do with that. But nevertheless, I mean, I want to go back to the defense again real quick. With Stefan, we talked about it several times, saying how just his name alone causes offensive coordinators to have to rethink their offensive game plan a little bit. They don't want to try to target Stephon Gilmore as much because that dude can still be locked down when he chooses to. I mean, the thing is does this allow Gus Bradley to now focus more on the middle of the field rather than worrying about the outsides now? Because now you have a guy in Gilmore that you can trust a lot more on that outside. Now we know that the Colts have gotten destroyed in the middle. Like, that's how opposing offenses always beat us, as they throw it in the freaking middle of the field and we can't stop it for some weird reason. Does it now give the Colts a little bit more of an advantage on the inside because now they can focus more of their attention on that?
I think it gives more of an advantage because Gilmore's going to hold just that little bit longer on his receiver, right, on the outside. So they're going to have to. You're kind of right in the aspect of now your safeties and linebackers who are quick for the Colts can play sticky a little bit more while in zone, right?
Mhm.
When a guy runs through their zone, they could follow him a little bit more.
Yeah.
Knowing that they could get there because they have a defensive line now too.
Yes.
You got to think about this. Gilmore's not just that one guy. We talk about this all the time where a defense, you need players, and you talked about it with Gilmore. You need players where the offensive coordinator has to game plan around them. And Indy has 3 of those on defense now.
Yes.
3. Okay. At all, one on every level. Like,
yes.
I'm not saying, no, don't get me wrong. I love Kenny Moore. He's a great guy. You don't game plan around Kenny Moore.
Yeah, you don't game plan to try and find ways to go away from him very often.
Exactly. 3 guys we have, Stephon Gilmore now, and obviously Darius Leonard and DeForest Buckner.
Yes.
Okay. And with having Yannick beside Buckner, that's going to make him even more scary. So this is a situation where, yes, this is a defense that is looking to become, I'm kind of, they have the potential. I'm not saying they're going to be, but they have the potential to be like the 2000 Ravens or the 85 Bears.
I'm saying, all I'm saying is, and my friend was texting me earlier today saying, "Oh, Stephon Gilmore is not the same player he once was." Like, I get that. Nobody's saying he is, but even a 60% of a Stephon Gilmore is still a really good corner, and that's what you need. We don't need him to be shut down, Darrelle Revis island mode, whatever. We don't need him to be that. And with Bradley's system, you think that he doesn't have to be left alone on an island now. He can play in that zone. It can help him in different ways to making sure he stays healthier. He doesn't have to chase all the time, but you have that option. Indy Colts 777, thank you for the $5 super chat. Was there any talk of keeping Marlon Mack? Do you think he will revive his career? No, I mean, wait a minute. Didn't Mack sign with the Texans, right? So, yeah. To answer your question, no. I don't think there was any talk of keeping him. They wanted to trade him at the beginning of the season last year, if you can remember that. I mean, there just wasn't any room for him. There just wasn't. And unfortunately, there's just not. Indy runs a 2 running back system right now. With Jonathan Taylor, you can afford to do that. And will he revive his career? I don't know if he'll do it with Texas, but I think that I definitely think there's a team out there. Lawrence, I'll be honest, I really wanted him to go to Buffalo. I really thought that would have been so good for him.
Yep, I've been saying that for 2 years that he would be perfect in Buffalo. And yes, of course, do I think that he'll revive his career? Actually, the Texans have always been decent at run blocking.
Yes, their running backs, for some weird reason, always do well every year. Yeah. Their passing game just never matches.
Now, Marlon is one of those rare all-around backs that they finally have, where not only can you just feed him the ball, but you can keep him down on all 3 downs. They haven't had that in a long time, and I think Marlon is going to fight. I mean, it's only a 1-year, $2 million contract that he signed with the Texans. So, next year he might show what he's got here in Houston and then go to somewhere else if he performs very well. So
I saw a lot of Stephon Midmore comments, mostly from salty Raider fans who didn't get him. Yeah, that's about right. When the fan base don't get him, we don't want him anyway, whatever. Yeah, because the Raiders were really the only other big name team that threw a big offer at him. I know
Eagles.
I know a couple teams did throw an offer out, but from what it sounded like was that the Raiders and the Colts were the 2 teams that gave him the most compelling offers from what it sounded like.
From what I understood, the Eagles made a very late hard push for him. And the Raiders already had a hard push. Buffalo obviously had him visit for a while as well. The Chargers had a visit. They all reportedly wanted him. It's just, I personally, I don't know who gave the biggest offer. I don't know if the Colts, I don't know. I don't think Ballard gave him the best offer. I don't.
It's hard for me to imagine that he did, but I think that just the situation it would be in, being amongst a lot of these other great defensive players inside a dome, inside some place that he can actually go, and the hospitality that Irsay showed, it kind of went a long way. Also, Tennessee Twist, never once in my mind did I think all these moves were to be how can we beat the Titans. Never once has that crossed my mind. But
if that was the case, we'd be getting big old defensive linemen and
these Tennessee Titans fans. They get beat for 6 years straight with Andrew Luck, and now all of a sudden they come out of the woodworks and they act like as if they're hot shit all of a sudden. Like whatever.
No, I honestly, my thought process is this is the effect of how do we just become a better team overall, right? Yeah. You go look at the AFC West right now, and it's just it's a fireworks show of offense.
Yeah, there's all four of those teams could realistically make the playoffs, every single one of them,
or only one, because what if all four of those teams beat up on each other, and the teams of the whole dang gone division.
I mean, those four teams specifically have four of the best rosters in the AFC, and it's not even close.
Yeah. and then you got Buffalo, so yeah, the Colts needed to do what they needed to do just to keep up, because no matter how much offense you have, defense still wins the championships, right? Look at the last two Super Bowls. First, you got to get in the playoffs. Once you get in the playoffs, that's when defense makes it, all right? Because defense won the last Super Bowl. Defense won the Super Bowl before. The majority of Super Bowls are won because of defense.
Yes. There's only one Super Bowl in recent memory that I can't remember that, and that was the one that I went to in 2017 with the Eagles and the Patriots, where there was only one defensive stop all game. One, all game, and that was it. And everything else was all offense. So, very rarely does that happen. I mean, a lot of people always talk about offense, but, I mean, again, what won the Rams the Super Bowl this last year? Defense. That was it. Because when the going gets going and it gets tough down there at the end of games, what lasted longer than the other? The defensive line outlasted the offensive line, and Joe Burrow couldn't throw the football in the second half.
Tom Brady didn't win the Super Bowl previously.
Yeah.
It was it was the front seven of the Tampa Bay defense that was all over Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So yeah, it's defense. Defense
wins it. You're right. A lot of people seem to forget that. I mean, the defense is the whole reason why the Bengals got there to begin with in the first place. A lot of people want to always talk about the wide receivers and Joe Burrow, but if that defense isn't holding Patrick Mahomes to 70 yards passing in the second half, then we're not having this discussion. Right. So, I mean, kudos to the Bengals, by the way, too. They built that defense so sneaky. That's such a sneaky good defense. And Nomadic, I'm looking forward to the Colts versus Raiders rematch. Bro, I am too. I kept saying it for years now that this is going to become like a new rivalry for the Colts for a long time, because these two teams go back and forth every single year. And the Raiders and the Colts both got better. I mean, both of these teams exchanged players with each other, exchanging coaches, going and getting these big name guys, I mean, that's going to be a fun rematch. It will be.
Well, I mean, the Raiders-Colts rivalry has been good ever since, was it 2014 when we broke Derek Carr's leg? When the Colts,
it was 2016.
16, yeah. And ever since then, it's just been close all the way around. And obviously, that wasn't intentional. No one intentionally tries to hurt somebody, but at the same time, Derek remembers it, right? And I'm not talking about you, Derek. I'm talking about Carr. So whenever he plays his best football, and we keep, one year they beat us, next year we beat them, and back and forth, like you're saying. It's going to be great. I'm another game I'm looking forward to every year because, Ballard said it, the rivalry's back on. We'll be playing the Patriots again this year because they finished second in their division. So did we. So, so that'll be interesting.
Absolutely. Who you like at pick 42 or position? What are you thinking? What do you think the Colts should do?
BPA.
Best player available. I kind of like that approach because here's the thing. I know everyone's saying receiver right away. I get that. But at the same time, at pick 73, there is still going to be some decent wide receivers at pick 73 that if you didn't get someone at 42 for that, then I get it. But yeah, you're right. Ballard in the second round too has oftentimes done really well at when he doesn't pick position of need and instead goes best player available, like what he did in 2020 with Jonathan Taylor. That it works out a lot for him sometimes. So and that would not surprise me at all.
Also, if your position of need is still loaded with guys that you feel very good about, trade back, grab a few more, grab another pick or two, and then go do it. That way you've got more ammo to, like what he says, the more shots at the dartboard you have, the more chances you have of landing one, So I could see that happening as well. I don't see him going like straight need though. I don't,
Yeah.
He may go BPA / need, if there's an offensive and defensive lineman, he's always going to have up there on his list, even with what we've got right now, still up there, because as he says, you always looking for defensive linemen and offensive linemen. But right now, I'm not a big Pryor fan. I'm not.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Pryor is serviceable. I just don't know if I can sit there and confidently say that he should be the starter for 17 games. I don't see that. And I don't see why it's so wrong to say that we should look to try to replace him. I mean, I get the point of, wanting to do right by Matt Pryor, but at the same time, and maybe Matt Pryor does prove us wrong and actually is the left tackle and he balls out and he can't be any worse than Eric Fisher at pass blocking. I mean, Matt Pryor actually did a really good job of that last year. Who knows? He'll probably do better. I mean, it can't get much worse. So I don't know.
And I'm not bullish on the tight end that everybody's saying. I don't think that we need to spend a high pick on a tight end. I don't
think we need to spend a high pick. I definitely think third or fourth round you could afford.
I could even say further down. I could say fourth or fifth. For a tight end.
Fourth or fifth.
I think Mo Alley Cox. Carson Wentz didn't know how to use Mo Alley Cox properly.
I think there was also a few times Mo Alley Cox forgot how to catch the football too.
Once. He had one drop the entire year.
I know, but there was a couple times that he was just not in good spots. I just think
there was also really bad placements by Wentz, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or
a couple
just out of his
I can
reach.
remember.
Yeah. And you got to remember Kylan Granson started to get a little bit better and better towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that that's the golden boy that Reich wanted so much. Maybe we finally get to see a surgence of Kylan Granson.
Yeah, so I think we are okay at tight end, but obviously the Colts generally carry 3 on their 53-man roster. So, we only have 2 legit. We do have a tight end, though, that I watched last year in training camp, Farrah Green, and he impressed me big time in training camp last year. I would not be surprised if he makes the 53 this year.
I wouldn't doubt it if they just decided to hold off. Tyreek Woolen would solidify our defense. Oh my gosh. We were talking about that earlier. We had a video. I was doing a video earlier on cornerbacks that the Colts could draft in the 3rd round potentially. If Woolen's there, I mean, Lawrence, that dude is 6'3", 205 pounds, has 34-inch arms. Or not 34-inch arms. 34-inch arms side to side. And then he ran a 4.3, if I'm not mistaken, at the combine. A 4.3. So that a guy with that size and that athleticism, I mean, everyone said the only problem with him is he's still a raw prospect. But I mean, I could only imagine a 6'3" corner at 200 pounds that can run a 4.3. That is insane.
Well, the last time, this is what makes me a little worried about grabbing raw prospects. The last time we grabbed a raw prospect as a DB, it was Green at safety. Okay.
It's true. That's true. I just, yeah.
And raw prospect Green was pretty darn good, and looked really good, but he's not even in the NFL now. So.
Yeah, right. Indy Colt 77 with another $5 super chat. I want to hear your thoughts on this, Lawrence.
No.
No?
I don't think that the Reich and Ballard, neither one of them are even close to a hot seat. Fans, a lot of fans think that, but if you go talk around the league with analysts and players and coaches and they all list Ballard and Reich as top 10 in their positions in the NFL, period. End of discussion. And
yeah, I mean, the thing is that everyone wants to talk about getting rid of them, but the problem you have with that is that if either one of them got fired, immediately somebody is picking up the phone and saying, I will give you everything to come and be my GM or be my head coach. Maybe not as much for Reich, but for Ballard specifically, yes, Ballard is widely renowned as potentially the best GM in football. He's definitely top 5, no question about it.
Hands down.
Somebody is going to make an owner of 25 teams are making that call and saying, Ballard, come be my GM. Every single 25 teams. And Reich, I mean, all but maybe about 10 teams are calling and saying, Reich, come be my next head coach. Like, I mean, that's the thing. Drop somebody that would be a hot commodity as soon as they hit the market. You don't.
Name me another head coach that could have a different starting quarterback week 1, 7 weeks in a row, or 7 years in a row, and only have one losing season during that span. I mean, seriously, you don't. He's widely considered as one of the best play callers in the NFL, top 5 play caller when it comes to in the NFL. Think about this. People want to talk about, well, he goes for it too much. He completes 70% of his 4th down conversions. Could you imagine if he was that good on 1st or 2nd down? But I'm just saying, most teams don't get anywhere near over 50% on 4th down conversions. And that's only usually when you go for it on 4th down, it's 2 yards or less. And he's getting 70% completion or 70% conversion percentage on those. So
yeah, it's just not going to happen. We all get upset at things that happened this last season. I mean, it obviously needed to change. Obviously, player personnel needed to change. A few of the coordinators needed to be changed because some things weren't being done the right way. But Reich himself has that locker room in check. He has the respect of his players and is a good offensive-minded coach. And Ballard, again, I don't know where this notion is. And Lawrence, maybe you can help me understand it a little more. I don't know why there is such a notion to say that the reason this team sucks is because of Ballard. Like, I don't get why, people say – this roster is still one of the more talented rosters in the NFL. It's among the top. It's not the number 1 roster, but it's about in the top 10 when you look up and down everything that goes up. It's right around that 10 area. So, why is there such a need to downgrade Ballard for how this team does at the end of every year. Even though we've seen so many times he has brought in so many great players onto this team, but yet for some reason he's always the one that gets all the flack.
It's sad, honestly. Honestly, the situation is he's been in a kind of a bind between a rock and a hard place when it comes to being in quarterback purgatory. Not really had a shot.
Yeah,
he's went after quarterbacks. He went after Matt Stafford, but he just could afford 3 first-round picks and a starting quarterback to get him.
right.
Situations like that. He finally got Matt Ryan, who's a good quarterback. But think about this: there's only 2 teams in the NFL, 2 in the last 2 years that's had a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense. And that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Indianapolis Colts. So Ballard's doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, he is. I just think that I just wish that we could just skip the notion that it's always the coaches and the GM's fault and just say the players aren't living up to the hype. They're just not doing what is necessary, because at the end of the day, the players are the ones playing. I mean, Ballard's just putting players on the field. And we have said it multiple times that a lot of these players are top 10 at their position. The Colts have about, I think, 5 or 6 guys that are top 10 at their position. So why is it that we continue to just see these fallbacks when that happens?
I'll tell you why. First off, if the Colts can start off the season at least 2-2, that would help a ton.
Yes.
Because when they're in week 4 and already in playoff mode because they're 0-3. Okay.
Right.
Week 4, they're 0-3. That means they have to win. They know we got to win basically every game that we possibly can now. Because week 5 we're 1-4. And it's awful looking for us. And they're in playoff mode. You can't be in playoff mode for 4/5 of the stinking season, right? That is a wear and tear mentally and physically on you. And by week 16, 17, 18, you're just beat down, tired. And I think that had a lot to do with it last season.
Yeah, you're right. Especially when the team got hit with COVID last year, already the team's riding on pure adrenaline at that point, and then COVID hits the building, and then all that stuff happens. I mean, it's just, you're right. It probably got exhausting, and then they all just kind of didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
And that's why we were saying, and that's another reason why, these moves that Ballard has made, some of the guys that he has traded for and signed this offseason might impact this team more than some people might think. Because when you look at, when we watched Hard Knocks, right? You looked at Hard Knocks, and Darius Leonard in the last week said, the defense, the practice itself was not up to our standard. It was not how it was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not questioning the locker room chemistry. Obviously, everybody in there loves each other. They do what they got to do. But at the end of the day, I think there was just a lack of accountability. And, Darius Leonard tried to do that. But at the end of the day, just his voice was not enough to get everybody else to do that. And, maybe guys like DeForest Buckner and Big Q tried to do that. But most of the time, they let their actions speak more than their words. And sometimes that can get thrown off to the side. But you have guys like Rodney McLeod and Stephon Gilmore and Matt Ryan who have all been to Super Bowls. They all know what it takes and to be in a locker room that gets to that point. And, it could start being a point where the Colts might actually have some accountability taken amongst their players now, because they actually have veterans that could actually make it to where they demand that respect and attention, because they're not here to mess around. They're here because they like what they see and they think this team can go and win a championship. But now they actually bring that level of experience and attention that this young team still actually needs.
So I want to go back to that situation, for the week 17, week 18, the bad practices and stuff. Mm-hmm. And that basically like half the starters came back from COVID. And I know what it's like to have COVID, but
Yeah,
I'm not an elite athlete either, right? So I was kind of wondering, and then it dawned on me. I remembered the year prior, Von Miller had COVID. And I went back and watched his video about, what he talked about it. And he said he didn't feel right and couldn't practice properly for about a month because he just did not have the gas and it was hard for him to catch his breath and stuff like that. So I don't like blaming it on, an illness, but if it is, if it smells like a skunk and looks like a skunk, so it was bad situation. We started off bad, had to be in playoff mode for basically the entire season. They were worn down and then slapped with COVID at the end of the year. And it showed, especially showed.
Oh yeah, and especially at the positions that it mattered, some of the offensive linemen, and who knows, maybe Wentz had a little issue with that as well. I mean, I don't know if Darius had that issue or not, but I mean, either way, you're right. It definitely could have been a slight factor. I mean, I know when Cam Newton got infected with COVID early in the season, and then everyone was kind of questioning, like when it came to Cam, they were saying, is he suffering from COVID-related symptoms? Is that why he's not is he having that after effect of just feeling tired, and maybe that's why his play is down? I mean, it definitely is possible. I mean, I mean, anyone that knows my story, I had COVID back in 2020 in October, and that crap put me in the hospital for 8 days, and for 2 weeks afterwards. Yeah, dude, I was struggling. I had very little energy. I mean, again, I'm not an athlete like these guys that are in much better shape than me, but either way, it still puts a little bit of a toll on their bodies, and it does that for everybody.
Absolutely. But man, we talked the heck out of that, and I don't think this stream is about that, is it? Too much?
Yeah, it's not about that, but we're kind of talking. We're just talking everything right now. I mean, everybody's been blowing up Stephon Gilmore news all day long, and I mean, it just seems like I'm kind of tapped out talking about him at this point because I've said everything that I need to say about it. I mean, I think that, let's be honest here. I mean, are you more excited at the fact that we got Gilmore and McLeod versus just a one Tyrann Mathieu? Yeah. I mean, some people have said it the opposite. I just wanted to hear your opinion on it.
Yes. Here's the thing. Okay. I was going to do a Honey Badger video on Tyrann Mathieu, and I couldn't do it. I went through and watched every play he had last year, every play. And what I do when I do a video is I look for things that a player that I see over and over and over, whether it's good or bad, right? And talk about that. And I kept looking at where he's at and what he's doing and going, what the heck are you doing? You're not in the play scheme. You're going off on your tangent own, doing whatever. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. But, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be a very difficult film room to do on him because half the time I don't know what in the world he's doing. I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's a very good player. But he's kind of like that whole he plays a lot like what you think Palomalu used to do, where he had this free range to do what he wanted. If he had an instinct on something, he would go and he would do it. But the issue with Tyrann is he's a safety, okay, and we have safeties.
Yeah, we have young safeties.
Yes, but they're good. Willis, when healthy, is pretty decent, and I think Blackman is a Pro Bowl caliber. I really do. Now I can barely hear you now.
Oh, good Lord.
Is that me?
No, it's probably me.
That's my alarm.
Probably my mic. I don't know what's going on with it right now. Can you hear me better now?
I just turned it up, or I just turned myself up.
I
but-
turned mine up a little bit. I don't know if
There
it's,
you go.
am I better now?
Yep.
Okay. How does it sound? Did I lose myself now, or am I better?
No, you're better now.
I'm good. Okay. Maybe it was just my soundboard needing a second to wake up.
I thought I was trying to hear you from your house. So, I mean, it was that quiet. All right.
Yeah, yeah, I saw somebody mention it. I thought it was I thought somebody was just joking with me, or thought it was their audio, but no, it's good. Okay. Sounds maybe I think my mic was messed up because I had to use it for something different earlier, and I don't know why it was doing that. But
Okay.
oh man. Well, I mean, what'd
But-
you think of do you think Isaiah Rodgers posting, PFF was saying who's going to have a second year season that's looking to, take that second year leap, and he and Isaiah Rodgers is very adamant that he's about to take that second leap. What do you think?
I mean, it's possible. He had a full off season last year. Played a lot of meaningful snaps, right? This year he's going to get another off season, meaningful snaps. I think there's a darn good possibility. I think what held Rocky Sin back was, he had a screw up of he had the 2020 off season, right?
Yeah.
And that hurt a lot of young, especially defenders, when it come to, growth. So yeah, second year leap for cornerbacks are pretty common in the NFL, as long as they have an off season to work out.
Yeah, I mean, I think Isaiah Rodgers, I mean, you already saw the improvement from 2020 to 2021. I mean, he was strictly just a special teams guy in 2020. And then in 2021, he's pretty much solidified himself as the number 2 corner for us, outside corner, when it comes to that. So, it's taken a huge leap. And, I mean, the one thing that Isaiah Rodgers just has to be able to fix the issues is that his speed is just second to none when it comes to corners. So of course, that's what's been able to help him, is that even if he messed up, if that quarterback left that ball hanging a little too much, Isaiah Rodgers is coming back into the play, no questions asked. I mean, he did it a bunch of times. You just hope that, with somebody like Gilmore that can come in, show him a thing or two, and Gus Bradley, hopefully maybe the scheme will help Isaiah Rodgers a little bit more with, starting at the line of scrimmage. You certainly hope so. I mean, Michael was telling me the thing that makes Gilmore so dangerous when it comes to other people is, he says, once a receiver goes past 10 yards with me, I almost know exactly where they're going. Because really, there's only a few directions you can go. You can either run an in route, you can either go streaking, or you can do a cut to the outside. And he's normally pretty good about, and he naturally plays back anyways. So because he doesn't like to get burnt. So, most of the time he knows how to adjust to the out route or to the in route. So maybe that's something that rubs off on Isaiah Rodgers. Who knows?
Maybe. Oh, excuse me. But no, the problem with Isaiah Rodgers is, yeah, he needs to play more physical. What Rock did very well was plaster and feel, keeps a hand on the player and feel where he's going, which is perfectly legal, by the way. And one of the reasons why Rock was ranked as one of the best corners and coverage corners in the NFL last year. He needs to learn how to do that, how to feel the receiver when he's running with him, because like you said, he gets burnt on one cut moves.
Yeah,
bad, and if it's a timing route, then Rodgers is out of it every time. Because usually it's that one cut, quarterback gets rid of the football as the cut's happening, and Rodgers has no chance. He can go get him and tackle him afterwards, but he has no chance. He needs to learn that feel, right? And perhaps this offseason he can learn that.
Absolutely. Oh man, I don't know. I don't know where else to go from here. I'll be honest. We've talked about, I mean, what about Brandon Kemp? I know that was a signing that happened earlier today that everybody was kind of like, it got mixed in with the Gilmore news that was going on. I mean, again, Kemp, who has never played in an actual NFL game, he's obviously depth for a reason. He was mainly a practice squad guy for a while, but he fits the mold of what Ballard likes in their tackles. Somebody that's just over 310 pounds, somebody that's 6'6" or above. He's 6'7". Obviously, he's an explosive guy, which is something that obviously the Colts love about him. But doesn't have great speed. I just don't. I don't see much out of it. I mean, ironically enough, I'm gonna pull it up because when Cody did that video earlier, I think that video was actually, that video actually did better than the Stefan Gilmore video we did earlier today, which is hilarious. But but yeah, I mean, it was weird because I didn't expect that. But yeah, I mean, it's good that they're at least they're trying to add depth there at that spot.
Ballard, you signed the wrong Titans tackle. Okay.
Which one should he have gotten? Taylor Lewan?
Yeah. or even the other
hilarious.
edge.
I'd love that.
Yeah. No, he's a camp body. He is. And
he is.
it's a slim chance, no risk signing.
That's very true.
So it's not like he went out and paid him a bunch of money. They gave him, the minimum money and all that. So it's just, he's got a chance. The Titans generally have good tackles. So for the most part, and have good depth at tackle, and which is a reason why this guy was probably on their practice squad. So he may be our number 2 tackle, because let's face it, our offensive tackles are a little thin right now.
So we have no tackle depth at this point, which makes me think that the Colts are going to draft one because they don't have the luxury of getting any tackle at this point. It's much easier to go get interior offensive linemen right now in free agency because there's about 20 of them that still aren't re-signed by anybody yet. So the Colts can easily do that, but the tackle depth is the issue. But here's a good one. Do you think McLeod can start as strong safety possibly after Julian Blackmon comes back? I mean, obviously I don't expect McLeod to take Blackman's spot because Blackmon is the young stud that people want to see more of. But I mean, Kari Willis's spot, I do honestly believe is up for grabs in a lot of circumstances because I think Kari Willis is more of a box safety, if I'd say so myself. But McLeod, I think, could give you a lot more of that free range.
Here's the issue here. So reports are stating that there will probably end up going into a lot of 3 safety looks.
Yes.
And not on top of that, but when we're not in 3 safety, from what I'm understanding, we're going to be a lot of single high, which means you're going to want a really good box safety.
Right.
Willis is that good box safety. He's not a coverage safety, but he's very good as a box safety. So no, I don't think that this is a situation. Look, McLeod's okay. He's not a Pro Bowl guy. Right. He's not someone who's going to come in and just take someone's spot. I don't think he's nearly as good as Blackmon. I think Blackmon is by far the best safety of that group.
Yes.
And I mean, there's not even it's not close. It's just, he's got to stay healthy. Right. But yeah, it depends upon McLeod's going to get his snaps. He's going to he's got the skill set where he could relieve both Blackmon and Willis when needed. Plus he could be out there on the field during 3 safety formations. And then, of course, Blackman and Willis don't necessarily have, either one of them don't have a history of staying healthy for an entire season. So,
Right.
you need that depth there anyhow. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, did you hear the news? What if the Colts trade up in the draft and get Ritter?
I've been mentioning that on Colts Twitter a lot recently. I asked Colts Twitter that got like 2,000 votes on it. How would you feel if the Colts traded up to go and get a quarterback in this year's draft? And I think they said like 39 to 40% of them said it really all just depends on who it is that they're getting. Obviously, I'm not trading up for a guy like Sam Howell or Matt Corral. That's just me. But look, Ritter, here's the funny thing.
He came in on a top 30 visit.
He did. We've met with Malik Willis, Sam Howell, and Desmond Ritter. So again, it really is going to show you, I think the Colts might be interested in somebody. Again, they're doing their due diligence. They are obviously covering all aspects because, again, you can't afford to just say, oh, I have a quarterback for this year, I need to go off, right? Like, I know you have to figure it out at some point. So you don't know if one of these quarterbacks, just because the national media and fans say, oh, this is the worst quarterback draft class I have ever seen. That's only because there's not a quarterback in this draft that's guaranteed to get picked in the top 10. That's the only reason. It's not saying any of these quarterbacks are bad. It's just the fact that there's not a draft where it's not the 2018 draft when 4 quarterbacks get drafted in the top 10. Like, that's just not.
It's not someone that you're going to look at and go, okay, this guy is got a real shot at being a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
Right.
None of them really do. Some of them have traits that kind of make you go possibly, like Josh Allen. Josh Allen is one of those guys. Mahomes was one of those guys.
Yes.
When they came out in the draft, you didn't look at him and go, well, he's not a top 10 quarterback, but he's got a potential to be a starter and has got elite traits. There's a lot of those quarterbacks, but those kind of quarterbacks are major hit and misses. Okay.
Yes. Desmond Ritter is the ultimate example of that. Like, look, I like Desmond Ritter. I think that his physical stature and his physical abilities really does set him apart from from pretty much every quarterback in this draft class. He's 6'5", can run under a 4.5. He's obviously the most physically gifted quarterback in this draft class. I mean, just ultimately, it's a matter of, his inconsistency throwing the football is what scares me. Obviously, he would not be a starter anywhere he goes right off the bat. He needs a year or two to redefine his skills a little bit. But
they did that quarterback.
They did that with Mahomes. They did that with Mahomes with the Chiefs, and you're seeing what happened there.
Josh Allen was very similar, and you watched him. He started day one, and you watched him
from year to year,
just get better and better and better. And now you look at him and say top 3. He's a top 3 quarterback.
There's not a single person in the NFL that's like, oh, Josh Allen's not a top 5 quarterback in this point. So, I mean, you're right. The guy that everyone was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that the Bills would get him at that spot. He was like the worst quarterback of the whole bunch. And now he's the best quarterback of that bunch, so you can't always listen to what the national media tells you, because the national media doesn't know jack crap. They can say whatever they want, but it's these coaches and these GMs and these scouts that spend all those man hours watching every aspect of that player's game and whether or not they think it's going to work for them in the future. Hey, listen, I'm not opposed to the Colts taking a quarterback early in this draft. I'm not opposed to it. Do I want them to do it? I'm not in total favor of that, but real quick. Bryant Williams just became a YouTube member, the Pass the Juice Club. Hey, Bryant Williams, thank you so much for becoming a member. Greatly appreciate that. I'm actually going to make this man a moderator right now. There we go. But yeah, when it comes, thanks again, Brian, for the membership. When it comes to trading up, I think there's only 3 quarterbacks in this draft that I would potentially do that for, and that's Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, and Desmond Ritter. I think those are the only 3 guys that I would do that. But that's it. I wouldn't even divert up. I've seen people even mention, if it was anybody else, hell, I'd rather just trade up and go get Chris Olave or something. At least then I guarantee I have a weapon that's going to start day 1 and is something really good.
I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to trust Ballard and his scouts because they haven't been wrong very often.
Exactly.
So I'll trust what.
As long as it's not a defensive end. As long as it's not a defensive end in the second round, we're good.
Really? Because 2 years ago, we were like, why are we trading up to get a running back?
Well, right. I'm not doubting everything else. I'm saying just the defensive end position. Ballard and these scouts have never had good fortune of getting anyone in the second round at the defensive end position. Everything else is good.
I know.
In the second round, they can draft wide receiver, running back, linebacker, corner. I'll go with whatever they do.
A punter?
Listen, you know what? If they think that's the game changer they need, and he puts the team on the 5-yard line every time he does it. Hey, listen, I'm not going to judge. Just not defensive end. I would rather, and I'm being dead ass when I say this, I would rather them spend that second round on a punter than them on a defensive end. I'm being dead ass. Now, Dio still needs to show what he can do. I think Dio might be the one exception that we've seen of that bunch because Dio's physical abilities excel him over everyone else.
I think, and I'm going to tell you this, I think we're going to see a former Ballard second round pick defensive end blow up this upcoming season.
Oh yeah. Cause that's all that's left on the roster. Tyquan, Vanagu, Dio.
I didn't say he was going to blow up for the Colts. I think Kamoko Toure is going to pull a deep forward.
Yeah, don't remind me. I hate that we lost him, man. Really do.
He was not injured at all last year.
Talk about it?
Yeah.
When did we last talk about it? Like a month ago, saying how Kamoko Toure and this defensive scheme could have been a lot crazier, but you know, that might be Ben Banagu's role this year. Who knows? That might be Ben
Banagu's role should be handing out Gatorade. All right.
Brian, to answer your question, John Fox was hired as the assistant coordinator because Gus Bradley was already hired in, if I'm not mistaken, before John Fox got the job.
Oh, way before.
Yeah, it was way before. And Gus Bradley, I think, is somebody that they can potentially rely on to be at that position for a little bit longer than somebody like John Fox. And I don't know if John Fox really wanted to get thrown into that role right away.
John Fox is not a wasn't hired to be a defensive coordinator anyhow. It is Gus Bradley's job. John Fox is just brought in to mingle his defensive ideas with Gus Bradley and bring him in and kind of open things up. All right, for this defense. The more defensive minds, the better. It's still Gus Bradley's decisions.
Right.
John Fox is just there because of his experience to help out stuff. But now I last year, Kamoko Toure stayed healthy the entire year. And at the end of the season, my very first podcast that I put out when the season ended was the Colts need to fire the defensive line coach because he did an awful job. You
were on that train before anyone else was talking about it.
And then the first move they did was let him go. And I was like, told you, you know.
You did. You told me, and we knew it was kind of going to happen because you kept exposing the BS that was going on in that defensive line room. And, you know, I think Ballard saw you saying that stuff, man. He's like, you're right. Like, why is Kamoko Toure, who's second on our team in sacks, only playing 20% of the snaps?
Yeah. So if he's able to stay healthy with the Niners, and he gets anywhere close to 50%, I would not be surprised if Kemoko Turay, if he stays healthy, gets double-digit sacks next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And because not to mention, I mean, that defensive line they still have is really freaking good. I mean, he's not going to be a focal point on that defensive line at all. He's going to be the young blood who's going to get the single coverage every single time because they're going to be too busy focusing on Armstead and Bosa over here on the other side.
Exactly.
They ain't going to focus on him. So he's going to get a lot of those cleanup sacks. Bosa's going to send him right into Kemoko Turay, and Kemoko Turay is going to feast it up because the quarterback's going to be backing into him for no reason whatsoever.
I don't like I get why we let him walk. I would have liked to have signed him to a 1-year prove it deal, but I get why, because of once we got Yannick, then we didn't need Turay because Turay was the legit Leo that was on our roster when it come to body size and type and stuff. And Yannick was grabbed because he's also a Leo, and but he's proven. So at that point, Turay wanted more snaps, and I don't blame him. You know?
Does Dio end up becoming our third down defensive tackle next year? Like, I feel like you have to.
Pretty good chance. He'll also be a guy who will probably breathe Buckner quite a bit. You know.
Yeah, I could definitely.
I don't
see
like
a few early down snaps potentially taken off just to give Buckner a break.
Yeah, again, defensive line coach situation. There's no reason to have. I love DeForest Buckner. He should not be taking 95% of the freaking snaps.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. And they were saying that several times that DeForest Buckner was gassed towards the end of games and at the end of the year. And you hope now with this new DC, hopefully he can mix some things up because now you have guys like Tyquan Lewis and Dio who can play at practically every position on the defensive line. They have shown they can. So there is no reason for the Colts to not be a lot more fresh on this defensive line, especially if you go and add somebody late in the year. Because right now they have like 6 or 7 guys actually officially signed on the roster right now. They normally like to run 9. So, 8 or 9, they still got to add another 2 players to this active roster, especially with the defensive tackle position. But I just think of it like this. Yannick, Kwity Paye in his second year, Dio and DeForest in the middle on third downs. That combination gets me super excited for this defensive line. On that might end up being a QB's worst nightmare right there.
That's if
Kwity ends up taking that second year jump that we think he can.
And I don't know. I would almost rather have Lewis than Odangbo this year because this is basically Odangbo's rookie year.
Yeah, true. That is pretty much true.
And Lewis has proven himself. Hopefully he comes back from the ACL surgery and does great. I've heard good news about that, which is why he was tendered or signed. But yeah, Odangbo got those few games that he played last year. He got stonewalled quite a bit. Okay.
Oh yeah, he was still trying to recover from that. He was not at his normal speed. You're right. This will be his first year of actual full game speed, recovered from that injury, and he has a chance to now see what he's truly capable of. And yeah, I mean, Tyquan Lewis, I mean, I knew he was going to get re-signed because when Ballard in his first presser after that, and when they talked about the defensive line, the first person he talked about was Tyquan Lewis and saying how when we lost him halfway through the year, our defensive line all of a sudden just changed. We lost a guy that was doing a really good job for us at the beginning of the year and not only getting sacks, but creating turnovers as well. He did create a turnover on the play that he blew his knee out, ultimately gave it back, but that's neither here nor there. And nevertheless, I mean, Tyquan Lewis, has been a guy that's been a Ballard guy, and he's had to have some tough conversations with him. And Tyquan Lewis has, gotten his stuff together. And, it's high praise when Ballard comes out specifically about you and says that you going down was one of the main reasons why we had some major issues later on in the season. That goes to show you how high they felt on Tyquan Lewis last year. So, I mean, that's great. I love hearing that. That just means that Tyquan has some more left in him, I think.
I love Chris Ballard and the scouts. I think they do a great job. However, I would give a year's salary to walk into his war room and just put like erase every Ohio State player off the blackboard.
No, don't think like that. Don't think like that.
You know what I'm saying.
In 2023, we may be trading up to go and get CJ Stroud. I'm just saying.
Then he'll be hurt the first 3 years of his career. Like every Ohio State player ever.
They just haven't drafted the right ones. That's the problem. They just haven't drafted the right ones.
Every Ohio State player.
If they had drafted Terry McLaurin, we may not even be talking about the wide receiver position at this point. We might not even be talking about it.
Tell me I'm wrong. Every Ohio State player in the NFL, when they get to the NFL in their second year, got hurt. Chase,
this
Terry,
last year?
Every one. All right, in the past 5 years.
I think the majority of them did. It's weird.
Chase got hurt his second year. McLaurin got hurt his second year. Paris got hurt his second. All of the Ohio State guys for the Colts got hurt their second year. It's just a second year Ohio State injuries.
Okuda didn't. Not the way he did his rookie year. He got hurt his rookie year.
Yeah.
And it came back.
But you get what I mean, there's a problem there. I don't know if it's their.
I don't think there's a problem. I think it's just a sheer sign of bad luck. I mean, honestly, I don't.
But to come straight out of just one college, like, and they produce some talent. I'm not bashing Ohio State. I know you're a fan. I'm not bashing Ohio State.
Sure.
I'm just saying I think there's a problem with their
some of the conditioning that's over there.
Yes.
I definitely could see that. You might be absolutely right. I do think that, you see a lot of these young guys come into the league now, and, some of them are just not built up to speed some of the ways that they are. I mean, again, that's not a thing for a lot of guys. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe since Ryan Day took over with Ohio State, maybe that's become something that is, maybe that's something that could become an issue. Maybe I might need to consider thinking of that as time goes along, but yeah, I mean, you're right. Last year it was kind of weird to see how many Ohio State guys in their second year just seem to have struggles where, like, a bunch of them in their rookie years, they do a great job, but then they just like blow up in the second year. I don't know what it was, but yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. Again,
like he said, yeah, that's another.
If the Colts could get any of the 3 wide receivers that Ohio State's going to produce this year and next year, or go and get CJ Stroud, then I am all for it. It's the only problem is Garrett Wilson's probably going to be wide receiver 1. Olave is probably going to go in the first round easy. And CJ Stroud is not going to get drafted anywhere past the top 3. So I don't know what we're going to do.
You're reading the list of Ohio State guys that all got hurt in their second year, right?
Whatever.
Both Bosa's, Zeke,
look.
Hooker,
okay, listen. I understand that there is. Yeah, I understand that there is something weird going on with all those Ohio State players, but I'm not saying that is a total. That's not something that is an Ohio State issue as a general whole. I'm just saying, yeah, as of recently, that could have been true. But anyway, like I said, I'm not going to shy away from it because, again, it's really dumb to try and say that you should refrain from going to the one college just because of an injury problem or something like that. I just think that we've drafted the wrong ones. I just think we just drafted the wrong ones. If we drafted Terry McLaurin, we'd never be having this issue.
He got hurt the second year.
If we get Debo, I'd riot. Bro, listen, I was saying this earlier. there is no way the Colts get Deebo Samuel.
Deebo
There's
ain't
no
coming out of
they
San
can't
Francisco.
outbid anyone in the draft compensation.
They're not going. San Francisco's not trading him. So San Francisco. Oh, we'll take offers for Deebo Samuel, but if you read their tweet, they said, everyone has a price. Deebo Samuel's price for the San Francisco 49ers would be stupid.
He wants to be the highest non-paid quarterback in the NFL, which
Good luck with
means
that, because
he wants to be paid more than Tyreek Hill was, who just got paid
$30 million a year.
$30 million a year. So he wants to get paid over that. And since Deebo's in his prime, he's probably going to want a 4-year contract worth $140 million is what I'm guessing is probably the deal.
I like Deebo Samuel. I would not. No, you can. No, first it would take
the contract, let alone of the Colts could find a way. I don't care what the cap says; they can find a way cap wise. The only problem you have is that we can't outbid anyone for compensation. We can't do that. Not right now. There's teams in the first round that have 2 first rounders. There's 7 teams in the top 32 picks that are picking twice. Like they could trade away their next 4 years and get Deebo Samuel, and it'd be all worth it for them. We can't do that. We just don't have it. Deebo's like win. 26, 25, 26. He's not old.
No, he's not old, but he gets injured. He misses time, but that's because of the style of play he has.
Yeah, he's the workhorse.
Yeah,
and he's not Jonathan Taylor, who's built like a tank. Yeah, he's not built like that.
Yeah, so. I would not do a Miami Dolphins for Deebo Samuel. Okay, I would not trade an entire year's worth of draft picks plus give the man $30 million. I wouldn't do it. No wide receiver is worth that. Okay. Because
you ask anyone else in this chat, they'll disagree with you.
My goodness, you can go get, look, the way wide receivers are coming out of the draft now over the last 4 or 5 years, the amount of wide receiver talent that comes out of the draft has been ridiculous. It is incredibly good this year, and it's not even one of the best top 3 in the last 5 years, and it's still really good.
We've seen guys like Christian Watson, who his relative athletic score is the best relative athletic score of any receiver to ever come out of the draft. There has not been one guy in the history of the NFL draft since they've been recording that stat that is better at his size with his athletic ability than him. There's never been one. So, you see these guys now that, are as shifty as him. It's like, it's a difference. There's a difference between a wide receiver that's generationally good than a quarterback that's generationally good. It's completely different. You can find the next every 5 years, there's a Deebo Samuel. Easy. There's probably multiples of that every 5 years. It doesn't take much, but to find a generational quarterback, that comes out maybe once every 10 years. And it just doesn't happen like that anymore.
Yeah.
You can't find them like that with the tight ends, but you can go get another Deebo Samuel. You just have to pick the right one.
Well, you ain't going to get another Deebo because he's a different type of player. But at the same time, production-wise, you're going to get someone who's going to do the same amount in production.
Right. And because,
he didn't come anywhere near what Jonathan Taylor did last year. As much as Deebo did last year, he didn't come close to what Jonathan Taylor did last year.
Right.
Not even close.
Mm-hmm. And for Deebo, again, when you touch the ball 50% of the time on your offense, you're going to get those stats.
Right.
Because he gets the ball, because he was their running back and their best receiver. Of course, he's getting the ball 60% of the time.
Would that happen if Jamar Chase was on the Niners? No.
No. No way. No.
If Cooper Kupp was on the Niners? No. That'd be
OBJ
scary.
is younger than Julio. Julio's like 33 and OBJ's 29.
Yeah. No, Cooper Kupp. There's so many great receivers out there that can just play very, very well. If you want a guy who you can line up and have run the ball, or go out into a slot or something and play wide receiver, I think Hines can do that. Okay, I think Hines will and will do that. He's not built the same as Debo, but he can still run this very similar plays. He just runs them a little differently, right? Rather than running through somebody like Debo will, Hines will juke them out. All right.
Yes, and that oftentimes means less ground and pound on your body over time. I mean,
Exactly.
Debo, the only problem with Debo is that Debo can't keep doing that for his entire career. He can't, because in 5 years, probably less than that, his body's going to wear down to the point where he can't do that load anymore. He's not built for that. Jonathan Taylor can do that. Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry can do that because they're built like tanks. They can handle that workload. Debo can't handle that workload for the next 5 years and keep going. He can't.
Yeah, I agree with you.
He's going to miss too much time, or he's going to accumulate so many injuries that it's just going to ruin his body.
But that's why I kind of side with Debo. Very rarely do I side with players when they say, I want paid now.
Because at the end of the day, you don't know. It really is a cutthroat business, and you got to look out for yourself, because you're right. That next season, you could accumulate an injury that you never know you'll ever play again. I mean, Alex Smith had that happen. Alex Smith never thought he'd ever see the daylight of a football field ever again after that leg injury. And, that can happen to anyone at any given time. It really can.
Yeah.
So, I get it.
Yeah. I think Debo would be a fantastic player on our team. I don't want to give up what it would take to give up to get him. I wouldn't do that for a lot of players, though.
And guys, Deebo Samuel's not going for anything cheaper than $25 million. That's bare minimum too. He said it. I want to be the highest non-paid quarterback in the league, and the highest non-paid quarterback in the league right now is Tyreek Hill, and he just got a 4-year deal worth $120 million. So you're not like, Deebo's getting $130 million for 4 years in his next contract. There's no question about it.
Yeah,
it is.
Definitely.
I mean. And again, we're not hating on Debo. I don't know where people are saying we hate. Like, Debo is one of the top 10 best receivers in the league right now because of what he can do. Just ultimately, again, if you're the Colts, you can't give up 3 first-round draft picks and pay the guy $30 million when you can't afford to do that right now. You can't afford to do it. No. And I'm telling you what, San Francisco ain't going to be able to do it either. They're not going to be able to afford to pay him like that. Not while they're paying Jimmy G. They're going to wait. They're going to wait 1 more year. They're going to try to finally get rid of Garoppolo, and then all that cap is going to be freed up to where they can do that, because Garoppolo's contract is $27.5 million. Yeah. They finally get rid of him. They don't even have to trade him. They can just cut him, get rid of. They don't have any dead cap to worry about. That $27.5 million they save, then they'll pay Debo next year, and they'll pay him his blockbuster deal. That's what's going to happen.
If their quarterback is worth his salt, I see them playing a lot of Ravens type plays over in San Francisco, and using Debo very, more effectively. And that's because that's the kind of player I think that the Ravens need, is a Debo type guy, and Hollywood is not a guy that can run those type of plays, and they went out and they got him instead, and he's more of a burner downfield.
Yeah, he's the vertical guy. He's a guy that's going to stretch the field, but he's not your do everything kind of guy. Exactly. And I just don't think he's going to be. He can't learn that. I mean, if you don't learn that in your first couple years in the league, you're not going to do it ever. So, I mean, Debo could be that guy for them, just somebody that can go and do anything. He can be that vertical threat. He can be the drag route guy. He can be the guy that does your sweeps, things like that. I mean, he does everything for you.
Yep. All right. Yeah, we're not getting anyone's hopes up there, TRTW.
Yeah, we ain't doing that. No. I mean, Stephon Gilmore was a stretch for me, and I'm glad we got that done, but yeah, I'm not holding my breath on a blockbuster trade. I mean, look, the biggest trade that Ballard's ever made was DeForest Buckner trade, and that only required 1 first rounder. And he was like, okay, you're going to tell me the 13th pick is worth an all-pro defensive tackle, probably the second best defensive tackle in the league. Then yeah, I'm going to take that. But you know, the day will come. There will be a day when Ballard has to give up 3 first-round draft picks for somebody, but he's not doing it on a wide receiver. I'm telling you that right now. There's just no way.
There's no position outside of quarterback that's worth 3 first-round picks.
Yeah, no way.
None.
Even if it was 2, I wouldn't do it.
No.
Even if it was 2, because there's and San Francisco would not give up Debo for only 2 first-rounders. It's not happening. He's half their offense.
Right.
You take half their offense away, they want more than 2 first-round draft picks. And then you have to pay the guy $30+ million a year. So it's not worth it, man. It's crazy too, because you know, all these receivers, they're getting paid big money. And I get that, you know, that's kind of the direction that we're heading in, but is getting a guy that's going to cost you over $30 million a year going to guarantee you a Super Bowl run? No, he's not. Because your receiver is only as good as the quarterback that's throwing him the football.
I still don't know what Miami was thinking when they made that trade. That was the dumbest thing I had ever seen in my life.
Look, I liked the trade. I thought it was, I mean,
it was great for Kansas City.
They got a phenomenal athlete. Just the only problem you have is that, you know, you don't know if you can rely on Tua. You just don't know.
Yeah.
And now you got a new head coach too. So you have to wonder, how is he going to play it out? I think that's why those Tom Brady to Miami tweets were coming out and rumors coming out, because everyone's like, how great would that be? Because, you know, Tom Brady was the one that they were trying to recruit back in 2020 or 2019, actually. And that just obviously didn't work out. So,
well, I'm praying and hoping that Paris Campbell stays healthy this year. He did good for, so he played 8 games the last year. So that's good. That's better than his first 2 seasons. So we can make another jump like that and get up to at least 14 games.
Yep.
Paris is scary with a quarterback that's accurate. So
yeah, I know it stinks because, like, again, we had Paris has began to show people that he is very deadly when he's on the field. It's just, can he freaking stay on it?
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, the dude is he's a walking time bomb every time he touches the freaking football. It's just, man, I just want him to stay healthy.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, in such limited time, he has had such good production. I just wish he'd stay healthy.
Yep. I'm 100% with you on that, guy. I think I'm going to have to get off here.
It's fine. I'm probably going to end this stream here in a second anyway. I got to get to bed, but
getting late.
Yeah, I mean, what?
I said, yeah, it's 10 o'clock. It's getting late.
Getting late for us old people, you know?
Okay, youngin.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, thank you guys again so much for tuning in. Thank you to the 150 of you in here. Let us know your thoughts on what's going on. Shout out to my guy, Lawrence Owen, aka Colts Law. Make sure y'all go and follow him. Thank you guys again so much for the continued support. And as always, go Colts.
Have a good one.